All right, what is up, people of the world? Here we go. Astrology update. I'm going to speak to you today about the full moon / eclipse that is happening in the sign of Capricorn, July 4th. And yeah, this full moon is at 13 degrees. So if you know how to pull up your chart, you're going to look at your chart and see if you have anything around 13 degrees of Capricorn. It is working, my little pen here. Yes, 13 degrees of Capricorn or 13 degrees of Cancer. I'd give it like a 5-degree orb on either side. So anything in Cancer, Capricorn, around those degrees, you're going to be feeling this full moon more intensely because it's going to be aspecting your chart. If you know how to pull up your chart, you can also look at what house this is falling in for you. So look and see what house 13 degrees of Capricorn, you can see it here, 13 degrees of Capricorn, where is that falling in your chart? And by better understanding that, understanding what house it's in, and then looking up, Google searching the energy of that house, you can gain some insight as to what area of your life this full moon is really impacting. So I'm going to start with just explaining the Cancer Capricorn energy, and we'll go from there. So full moon is always when the sun and the moon are directly opposing each other. This is going to happen at about 11:40-ish p.m. Central Time. And we're about halfway through Cancer season. So let's just speak to some of the themes that could be coming up with Cancer season, right? So the sun is in Cancer, the moon's in Capricorn, and this is the conversation that's being had between these two opposite energies. And this is also the third eclipse within a 1-month period of time. It's the closing of this eclipse cycle that we're in right now, the third and final eclipse within this month. So, okay, so Cancer energy, we're in Cancer season. Cancer represents the home, the family, the roots, the ancestry, the family line, your heritage. It also is connected to your relationship with the mother, with your childhood, with childhood wounds and trauma. And you can look back and watch my last video, the new moon that we had in Cancer and eclipse, and then maybe that can give you some more insight as to like how we've gotten to where we are now, as each new moon and full moon kind of builds upon the previous one. But yeah, that's what's coming up with Cancer season, right? Cancer is notorious for being super fucking sensitive and having lots of emotions and being able to cry really easily. And so I would imagine, as we have a whole bunch of planets retrograde, and we've got Mercury retrograde in Cancer. Mercury is our mind and how our mind works and how we communicate. And anytime we have a planet retrograde, and we've got 5 planets retrograde right now, so more than half of the planets that we work with are retrograde. And so again, when it's a retrograde time, when it's a time period with a lot of planets retrograde, it's a time to slow down, to pause, to go inward, to reflect, to be more retrospective. It's not about just like charging forward and taking action. And even though there's some parts like within the chart that you may feel like you want to do that, but right now it's really a time of slowing down and reviewing and going inward. And so I started this little topic here with Mercury being retrograde in Cancer. So with Mercury, the planet of communication and how our mind works, it's retrograding back. So we're going inward. We're reflecting on emotionally charged shit from the past, on emotionally charged conversations or relationships, or again, just the Cancer energy in general. It represents your childhood. It represents wounds from childhood, trauma. I mean, this is the Cancer Capricorn polarity, right? So Cancer is the crab. It wants to feel safe and supported at home. It wants to have all its little things around it and to feel safe and nurtured and nourished. And when it doesn't feel safe, it goes inward. It pulls into its crab shell and it doesn't want to come out. And then Capricorn is the opposite energy. Capricorn is very much about, and that's where this full moon is at right now. Capricorn's about like, if it's the opposite of Cancer, Capricorn's like, put the emotions to the side, fuck feeling things. Let's just go out and do work and get the job done and, provide my service that I'm here to do, my dharmic work, or maybe they're just focused on money or social status. And so to have like a healthy expression of both of those energies, they need to be in balance with each other. And so I think, you know, throughout this Cancer season, throughout all of these retrograde periods, you know, Mercury here is very close to the sun for this full moon. And so we're probably having a lot of like stuff come up from the past, whether it's stories or it's just emotional patterns. You know, the Cancer energy, it can get stuck ruminating in things, or it can get stuck in like a certain way of thinking or a certain way of emotionally responding to different events that happen in life. And so I feel with this full moon that it's a lot around like taking responsibility and taking accountability for what's happened to you in the past, right? Capricorn, Cancer energy. Cancer, like your childhood, the childhood wounds and trauma and just emotional stories and just ways that you've been or how you've done things. Maybe it feels comfortable because you know it, or because you've lived your life in a certain kind of way for so long. Maybe it looks like you're living in your shell more than you would like. Maybe you're more internal. Maybe it's hard for you to move out of the shell and to express and to show up in the world. And so, which is the opposite energy, which is what Capricorn's about, right? So at this time, I think that we could be having, and throughout this whole Cancer season, really, it's been, you know, you don't need me to tell you that it's been a lot this year in general. And then Cancer season is, again, it's notorious for being the most sensitive, the most emotional, just like really deeply feeling the Cancer energy. So that's the season that we're moving through. And I think that we have the opportunity with this full moon / eclipse to really, again, to take responsibility, to take accountability, to not be the victim, and to not just like, you know, this is what happened to me when I was younger. This is the only way that I know how to do things, or this is like the way that I've been doing things for so long. It's like we need to kind of take a step back and to not be so charged emotionally from these different stories or different feelings that could be coming up, and to see them for like more objectively, to see them for what they really are, and not with all of like the emotionally charged stories that are connected to it that can come with all of this Cancer energy. And I think with Mercury being retrograde in Cancer, we're having the opportunity to review a lot of these stories and to see it very clearly, and to ask ourselves, you know, again, the Capricorn energy is very logical. It's very like practical, grounded, logical. You know, Capricorn is like, okay, if there's a problem, how do we fix it? Like, whereas Cancer can just be like, oh, I feel so deeply, or I'm so sad, and it affects me being able to do things, or they can get like lost in the watery, fluid, flowy energy. And if they're lacking earth energy, like that grounded, stable, practical quality, it doesn't turn out so good. So you need a balance of water and earth. And that's what this full moon is asking from us at this time. Yeah, reviewing the stuff from childhood, reviewing the emotionally charged stories that are affecting our ability to show up in the world now. And that's what Capricorn energy is about, right? So Capricorn, let's just talk about this Capricorn energy, the moon, full moon in Capricorn. And then we've got Jupiter here, we've got Pluto, and we've got Saturn, all in Capricorn. And these planets are all retrograde here. When they're red like that, they are retrograde. So the Capricorn energy is about self-mastery. Capricorn and Saturn is also connected to the Capricorn energy. Saturn's the planet associated with Capricorn, and you can see this going on in the world right now. Saturn, Capricorn energy is connected to the government. It's connected to structures, social structures, society, rules that we follow, boundaries that we work within, laws that we live by. Saturn and Pluto came together in January. Pluto, the planet of death, of destruction, of transformation, of evolution, of rebirth. It came together with Saturn, with the structures, with society, with the government. And so we're all experiencing this like a tearing down of the way that things have always been, the rules that we've always followed, the structures that we've lived within, the government structures. Like, it's all being brought up to the surface right now, right? Pluto and Jupiter together. So many things that yeah, that I want to share here. Pluto and Jupiter together. Jupiter is the planet of expansion, just expands anything that it touches, and Pluto is the planet of the darkness. It's the lord of the underworld, right? So Pluto wants to, again, bring up to the surface all that's been hidden, that's been buried, and it wants it to be exposed so that we can transform. And so you can see this going on right now in the world throughout this whole year. Really, all these planets are going to be kind of dancing together all the way until the end of the year. So this is, you know, what we're moving through is nothing that just can like happen overnight. And that's very much the Capricorn energy. So to come back with the full moon being in Capricorn, Capricorn wants self-mastery. It wants you to put in the time and the work and the dedication and to show up. And there's no quick fixes. Again, there's like none of this happens overnight with the Capricorn energy. And so right now, at the time of this full moon, I think that we're reviewing the old stories, the emotionally charged things, you know, Cancer season, like deep in the feels, old memories coming back from the childhood, maybe from past lives. You know, maybe you're having like flashbacks of different traumatic events that have happened, like little by little it's coming up so you can process it more and more, because when events happen that are super intense, you can't process it all at one time. It's like you can only process a certain amount of emotionally charged material, and then maybe it'll come back up again later. So Cancer season is here to bring up more emotions, more things that we haven't fully processed. And so we're taking maturity, emotional maturity, emotional like responsibility, maturity, responsibility, you know, practical, logical, grounded type energy is very much the opposite of Cancer, is Capricorn. And so with this full moon, I think that we are, yeah, having more responsibility for who we are and for how we're showing up, and the stories, the energy that we're experiencing. It doesn't have to just, we don't have to just default into like the ways that we've always worked with this energy. We can learn new tools. We can gain, you know, self-mastery within ourselves in new ways by maybe taking different classes or gaining, you know, reading different books or working with some type of like mentor. I don't want to say healer, like maybe a therapist or a psychologist or someone to help you like work through the emotions in new ways. I think that is very much like the energy of this full moon. And it's really helping us to see things more objectively. And I think leading up to this full moon, sure, maybe stuff was very emotionally charged, and maybe for some people you're still moving through that right now. I think we all move through it in different ways for different lengths of time. None of it's good or bad, but yeah, it could have felt very heavy leading up to this full moon. I know for me, it's been, yeah, it's just been a lot of emotions, and really looking at the ways that I work with them and how I allow them to inhabit my body, and what I do when they come up. And, you know, so to give you some, like with the Capricorn energy, to have some practical, tangible tools to work with things in new ways. Again, maybe you're reading different books, you're working with different people, you're gaining new information so that you can have more self-mastery over your emotional state, just over your life. So then you're able to more fully show up in the world and to express and to, you know, go out and to provide your service or to do your dharmic work, which is what the Capricorn energy represents. Okay. Another thing that we have going on at the time of this full moon, I'm going to speak to this T-square that we have happening. So this is like it's a T-square, it's a triangle, a tension triangle between Capricorn and Cancer, which are opposite energies that I've just described. And then it's squaring Aries. Mars and Chiron are both in Aries. Mars is our energy, it's our drive, it's our desire, it's our passion. And with it in Aries, it wants to move forward. It wants to start something new. It wants to jump into things. It wants to, you know, go out there and pave its own path. And Aries isn't notorious for like thinking about things for a really long time. They usually just like jump into something, do it, and then they figure out the details later. And so it's tension right now, like the Cancer energy that wants to feel safe and nurtured and supported, the Aries energy that just wants to go out and do things and like have it be its own way and yeah, carve a new path for itself, and the Capricorn energy that wants to get work done and accomplish things and provide its service and do its dharmic work. And so it's like tension going back and forth, because we can't really, you know, as much as we'd like things to go back to normal or to like to open up again in the world so that we can like kind of figure out who we are now that the world has changed so much. I think that that it's not quite that time for us to be like springing forward and jumping into new things, because we do have so many planets retrograde, and we do have Mars that's going to go retrograde as well for a long time. So it's like now is not the time to be jumping into things. Now is the time to go inward and to be retrospective and to reflect on how you've done things in the past, and to reflect on what's been important to you in the past, and to kind of sift through what you want your life to look like moving forward after the world has changed so much. But it's not going to be until later in the year, when the planets start to move direct again, when I feel like there will be more clarity as to what the path will look like, or like what exactly the steps are. I think right now it's 5 planets retrograde. I mean, it's a time of going inward and reviewing things from the past and healing and, you know, diving deeper into ourselves. That doesn't mean that you can't like go out into the world and do things, but just understanding like the planetary energy and what it's asking from us. You know, back when civilization began, people were led by the stars, right? They were more connected to the planets, like with just as basic as growing crops and when to harvest crops. Like it's all connected. So if we can just kind of understand a little bit about what the planetary energy is asking from us, I feel it'll be helpful. Obviously, that's why I'm here sharing this. Okay, so back to the T-square, the tension here, the triangle, the T-square, and the release point for it is always directly across from the apex. So the release point is in Libra, and we do actually have an asteroid there. We've got Juno there, which Juno is kind of like Venus on steroids. And I think of Juno as like almost like your dream life, or like your dream, like, I don't want to say partner, like romantic situation, but I feel like at this time that we've done so much internal work, we're going to continue to do that. I mean, we're in the middle of Cancer season, so things are going to continue to come up. But it's like this Capricorn energy that can have a heavy or like a restrictive or kind of a pressed down, like you're being held back in some kind of way, because Capricorn and Saturn wants you to move really slow so that you can gain self-mastery. But for me, it feels like almost like a breath of fresh air, the Capricorn energy, because we can get so like we can drown in all of the water and all of the Cancer energy and the emotions and the feeling things, and then the Capricorn energy is like, all right, kind of hits you with the reality stick, like, okay, great, like you've been through those experiences, you know, sure, maybe your childhood was less than desirable, or, you know, it's not what your ego necessarily wanted, but here you are, you're alive today, we're here, you're watching this video, you're alive, and how do we be functioning humans in the world? And that's what Capricorn energy wants to do. It's a grounded, rational, practical, you know, just like, okay, let's do the work. Sure, this is the stuff that's happened in the past. This is what I need to heal from. This is what I need to cultivate more of in my life. Like, let's just look at it clearly and be adults about it, be grown-ups about it, right? That can very much be the Cancer Capricorn energy. Capricorn being the adult, the, you know, fatherly figure, and Cancer representing the relationship to the mother, the childhood, yeah, childlike energy. Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's some other aspects that are happening. Like, one thing I want to mention that's really beautiful, that Uranus has been aspecting a lot of the full moons and the new moons this year. And Uranus is the planet of sudden change, of awakenings. It's the great liberator. Uranus wants to help us break free from something that's been holding us back. And that doesn't mean that it's going to be comfortable breaking free. It's most likely not. Uranus comes in and it shakes up any stuck energy. So it can bring in, like, maybe chaos or some type of disturbance or eruption or like breakthrough to help you do things in a new way. But for this full moon, it's positively aspecting it. So it's making a positive aspect to the sun, and it's making a positive aspect to the moon pretty closely within 3 degrees. So it's a pretty tight, sextile and trine that is being made. So I think that this is a really beautiful aspect that we have happening. Again, Uranus, the planet of sudden change, of the great liberator, of awakenings, helping us to maybe break free from some emotional material. I had some people message me because I talk about emotions a lot and crying and embracing your emotions, because that's just been my personal journey to understand my emotional depth. And so other people sharing that they've finally been able to cry, or people telling me like they feel like they need to cry, but they just maybe have a hard time getting there, allowing it to really come through. So my advice for those people would be to listen to sad music or sad movie, or maybe doing even breath work or some type of meditation where it allows you to touch that part of you emotionally, and it can kind of like break you open and crack you open. And that's very much this energy. That's what Uranus, that's how I see this. Uranus making a sextile to the sun in Cancer. Something happening that can like break you out of, help break up the stuck emotions, or help break up like the stuck ways of thinking, or the stuck patterns, or, again, all of this Cancer energy, Cancer season, it has a very strong memory for emotionally charged things. Our emotional body lives on throughout lifetimes. If you believe in reincarnation, it's the strongest memory. So maybe our logical mind doesn't always remember things, or it can forget things, but our emotional body, or emotional memory, like stores it and it holds it in the body. So maybe something happens in your life that touches you in some kind of way, and then you have a really strong emotional response to it, but you don't even know why. Like logically, you don't know where it's coming from. And so that's what I'm speaking to here. Like this Cancer, watery, intuitive energy, it has a very powerful memory, and things get stored and stuck in the body. And so I think with Uranus making an aspect to this full moon, that it is assisting us in some type of breakthrough, or some type of awareness, or some type of, maybe it's a sudden download, maybe it's an insight, it's like an aha moment, the lights flash on, you like receive clarity, and then the lights go off. That's the Uranus energy, the Uranian energy, Uranus here in Taurus. So yeah, I think that could be assisting us, in whatever way it shows up for you. Maybe there's some type of breakthrough around how you work with your emotional body, and how that either supports you or hinders you from showing up in the world, from doing the Capricorn energy, which is, showing up in the world, going into the outer world, like who you are in your community, within society. It's your public standing. And in order to show up in the world, and to like be strong in who you are, and to like gain self-mastery, and to put in the work, and to show up, you have to feel safe and supported internally. And so that's what Cancer energy represents in this season. Cancer season, we're tending to that internal world. So embracing whatever emotions get brought up to the surface, maybe Uranus, they come in quickly, you have some kind of flashback, or something, opens up for you, and then you let it move through you. Yeah. Okay. What else? Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything that I want to share. It feels really good to me, this full moon. It feels, maybe because I have so much water in my chart, and I really welcome the earth energy, the Capricorn energy that gives water a container. It gives it like a safe space. It gives it structure to work within. So we need that balance in our lives, the Cancer energy that is about our emotions and our internal world and our childhood and how we process things. And then we equally need, you know, we need to show up in the world. We need to be adults. We need to make money. We need to provide a service. Hopefully you know, for all of us, we have the belief and the inner knowing and the confidence and the, you know, ability to work towards self-mastery in some type of craft, like fulfilling our dharmic purpose. The low road of the Capricorn energy that could be coming up at the time of this full moon is maybe you've been working for something. Capricorn just like pushes the emotions to the side and just works and tries to make money and tries to gain like some type of social status. And then you are left feeling empty when you actually achieve it, because it's not really what you needed. Maybe you've neglected your emotional body or your spiritual world, or you're just not feeling fulfilled in all the different areas of your life. So Capricorn can get like hyper focused on work and making money and providing and just, you know, showing up and doing their job, that you know, they can really be hurting in different areas of their life if we don't tend to all of it. So I think with this polarity here, that's the conversation that's being had. You know, we're looking at how we go inwards and we really check in with like, what do we need to feel supported, to feel safe, to feel nourished? And then the Capricorn energy, you know, when it's moving from that place of like internally, okay, this is what I need, this feels good to me, this is, you know, who I am in the world and how I want to show up. And then Capricorn would love to like to do that work, to go out into the world and actually fulfill those things, but it has to be in alignment. They have to be connecting, or else you're just gonna, you know, be left feeling unfulfilled. And maybe you have, you know, a certain job, or you have a certain amount of money, or you have a certain amount of things, but you're not any happier for it. And I think that is, you know, a really fucking big topic that's going on in the world right now, or that's been needing to be had for a long time. Like this has been needing to be brought up to the surface for a long time, is people, you know, especially in the United States where I was born, people having so many things, right? People have a ton of shit. Some people have a lot of money, or they have a lot of material wealth, or they have a nice job or a nice house or a nice car, but like internally are dead, or they're dying, or they're just not fulfilled. So I think with, you know, the bigger picture of what's going on in the world right now, like looking at, yeah, what really matters at the end of the day, you know, when so much gets taken away from you, when people can't leave their house, or they can't work, or they can't, you know, do the things that they're used to doing. Maybe they can't even do the usual like escapism things, or ways to distract themselves, or to numb themselves from their lives, which sounds sad, but like ultimately we need to look at these things so that we can transform, and so that we can, you know, be fully functioning humans. But yeah, that could be another thing with the Capricorn energy, is to look at what you've been just like chasing, thinking that it's going to bring you some type of happiness. And then, you know, with what's happening in the world, I think it's really forcing all of us to go inward and to reevaluate like what truly matters. Yeah, what really matters? What's going to matter at the end of this? End of this journey here on Earth. Okay, that's all for now. It's a lot of information. I hope that this was helpful. I hope that this supports you in some way, and better understanding the planetary energy that we have going on right now and how to best work with it. Yeah, if you'd like to book me for a reading, you can do so through my site at cosmicguidance.online. I have been kind of slowing down with the amount of people that I've been taking, and I've been creating a lot and making a lot of things, crocheting and beading and silver jewelry, metal things, just new ways to express. And that's been, yeah, very powerful for me, medicine for me. All of these different tools that we have in our toolbox. So yes, if you'd like to book a reading with me, you can do so through there. And again, I hope this is helpful. I hope this supports you. And that is all. Happy full moon / eclipse in Capricorn. Okay, take care.